There have been some sexual assault claims made by him. It's a chap called Derek Dixon, and it's a 260 million lawsuit. And let me say it's interesting because he is Lilibet's godfather. He revealed this on the Netflix show. He appeared as a character witness for Harry and Meghan in their...
Alfonso Ribeiro is a name we've all come to know and love. His iconic portrayal of Carlton Banks on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air cemented him in pop culture history forever. But today, Ribeiro is stepping out of the shadows of his past not to entertain us with his signature dance moves, but to reveal a side of Hollywood few dare to talk about. A $260 million lawsuit against Tyler Perry has rocked the entertainment world, and it appears to have cracked open a vault of secrets long kept under lock and key. Ribeiro, once silent, is now speaking out, and what he's saying has left fans and insiders alike stunned.
When one user would suggest Tyler Perry to revamp his career, much like he did for Jeffrey Owens a few years back. Well, Ribeiro would actually respond to that message with a tweet of his own that read, "I don't need or ever want that man to do anything for me."
For years, Ribeiro has been the epitome of lighthearted humor and nostalgia. But behind the infectious laugh and charming grin lies a man who's been quietly wrestling with a truth that Hollywood might not be ready to hear. His recent refusal to work with Tyler Perry wasn't just a casual refusal or an offhand remark on social media. No, this was a calculated move, one that many now believe was born out of deep personal experience and a desperate need to distance himself from something darker. "I don't need or ever want that man to do anything for me," Ribeiro wrote in a blistering response to a fan's suggestion that Perry could revive his career. It was a rare glimpse behind the curtain of Ribeiro's polished public persona, and it has left everyone wondering, what does he know that we don't? This sudden, sharp rejection of one of Hollywood's most powerful figures didn't come out of nowhere. If you dig a little deeper, the signs were there all along. Ribeiro's history with Perry goes back to his time directing episodes of Meet the Browns, one of Perry's many successful television ventures. But even then, whispers of tension surrounded the set. One particular episode involved actor Brandon Jay, who claimed he was pressured into playing a character against his will, an experience he described as the most stressful and hardest of his life. Ribeiro was there, in the director's chair, witnessing the alleged coercion firsthand. Was this the moment Ribeiro began to see the cracks in Perry's carefully constructed empire?
Now, one thing that won't flop is Alfonso Ribeiro's career. He recently stated that one thing he will not do is work with Tyler Perry ever again. After sharing that his career has been stifled after his role as Carlton Banks in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, a fan has suggested that he should work with Tyler Perry. However, the actor did not approve of that comment and said, "I don't need or ever want that man to do anything for me."
Tyler Perry's name is synonymous with success, a self-made mogul who built an empire from the ground up. But with great power comes great scrutiny, and Perry's world has always been shrouded in rumors of intense loyalty demands, blurred boundaries, and unspoken rules of conduct. Insiders have long whispered about the filmmaker's infamous secret retreats, exclusive secluded gatherings where the lines between professional and personal reportedly vanished. These retreats, held on private islands or behind the gates of luxury compounds, have been described as environments where Perry's influence was absolute and the price of questioning him was steep. And now, with the $260 million lawsuit against him, these rumors feel less like idle gossip and more like puzzle pieces falling into place.
Certainly be helpful, in addition to the text message evidence that we had. Sometimes victims don't want to come forward, right? You're talking about a rich and famous individual, and look at what's happened. Perry's lawyer came out and said, this guy's lying. This is a shakedown. This is extortion, right? They always go after the victim. And we don't know if the allegations are true in this case or not, but very few harassment cases are reported or litigated. And often
the lawsuit, filed by actor Derek Dixon, accuses Perry of creating a coercive and exploitative dynamic on the sets of his hit shows The Oval and Ruthless. The allegations are chilling: unwanted advances, professional retaliation, and a pattern of manipulation that left Dixon fearing for his career. Perry's attorneys have been quick to dismiss the claims, calling them fabricated and accusing Dixon of attempting to shake down the billionaire filmmaker. But for many, this lawsuit isn't an isolated incident. It's the culmination of years of whispered accusations and unsettling anecdotes that have followed Perry's rise to the top.
Come forward, because if you're a victim, you're gonna have to really tell your story in a very, very public way. What is interesting, though, is under California law, he could have filed as a John Doe or a Jane Doe, and he chose not to. So I thought that was interesting.
As the lawsuit gains traction, Ribeiro's silence has become deafening. His refusal to elaborate on his cutting remarks about Perry has only fueled speculation about what he might have seen or experienced during their time working together. Was his social media response a mere expression of personal distaste, or was it something more? A warning, perhaps, to those who might find themselves in Perry's orbit? Whatever the case, it's clear that Ribeiro's decision to speak up, even in such a limited capacity, was not made lightly. He knows the cost of crossing someone like Tyler Perry, a man whose influence stretches far beyond Hollywood's borders. The timing of Ribeiro's comments is no coincidence. With the scandal surrounding Perry's alleged misconduct unfolding in real time, it's as if the floodgates have opened. Other voices are beginning to emerge, painting a picture of a man whose immense power may have been wielded in ways that left others feeling powerless. And yet, Perry's defenders remain steadfast, pointing to his charitable contributions, his groundbreaking studio in Atlanta, and his role as a trailblazer for Black creatives in Hollywood. It's a dichotomy that's hard to reconcile. A man celebrated for uplifting his community, now facing accusations that threaten to dismantle his legacy.
You're the defense, and do you look at that he didn't file as a John Doe and say, look, this is proof that this was a shakedown, which is the term that they've used?
Look, it's interesting. Obviously, the fact that he didn't file as a John Doe, that's not an argument that the defense can make, but really, and I've sued a lot of celebrities. I'm sitting here in Hollywood right now. I've represented some, but sued a lot more. So I've handled a lot of cases like this. Most of the time, the victims will come in, and when I explain what a lawsuit entails, they have pause, right?
This isn't the first time Perry has faced criticism. Over the years, he's been accused of perpetuating harmful stereotypes in his films, of fostering a toxic work environment, and of prioritizing loyalty over fairness. But the $260 million lawsuit takes things to a whole new level. The details are graphic and unsettling, with Dixon alleging that Perry used his position of power to intimidate and exploit. And while Perry's legal team has dismissed the claims as baseless, the court of public opinion is far less forgiving. People are asking questions, digging up old stories, and connecting dots that were once ignored.
Because, everyone cares about the reputation in Hollywood, and whether it's cancel culture or just bad press, it can force a defendant to settle. So that's a tool that you have to use if you're a plaintiff's attorney representing victims like this.
For Ribeiro, this moment feels like a crossroads. He's no stranger to the challenges of navigating Hollywood as a Black actor, having spoken openly about the struggles of being typecast after his role as Carlton. But this is something else entirely. By distancing himself from Perry, Ribeiro is taking a stand, one that could either vindicate him or cost him dearly. Hollywood is known for its short memory and its willingness to forgive the powerful. But in the age of social media and instant accountability, the rules are changing, and then there are the secret island retreats. While the rumors have swirled for years, the lawsuit has brought them back into the spotlight. Descriptions of these gatherings paint a picture of luxury and exclusivity, but also of a space where boundaries were blurred and power dynamics exploited. Sources close to Perry's productions have hinted at a culture of silence, where speaking out could mean career suicide. It's a narrative we've seen play out in Hollywood before, but this time it's different. This time the allegations are backed by a lawsuit that could have serious legal and financial consequences.
The response left fans surprised, but they seem to forget that the two have worked together before. Ribeiro had directed 12 episodes of Perry's Meet the Browns, but things took a turn when an actor claimed that he was forced to play a gay role or he was at risk of losing his job. It was also one of the episodes that Ribeiro had directed.
As the lawsuit unfolds, Ribeiro's connection to Perry's world is being scrutinized like never before. His time directing Meet the Browns is now viewed through a new lens, with fans and critics alike wondering what he might have seen, what he might have known. The allegations against Perry are serious, but so is the backlash against those who dare to speak out. For Ribeiro, the stakes couldn't be higher. And then there's the question of Brandon J. His allegations of coercion during the filming of Meet the Browns add another layer to this already complex story. Jay's experience, while unrelated to the current lawsuit, echoes some of the themes at the heart of Dixon's claims. A culture of pressure, a lack of autonomy, and a sense of being trapped in a system that prioritizes loyalty to one man above all else. It's a story that feels all too familiar in an industry that has long operated on unspoken rules and unchecked power.
Filed lawsuit accuses Tyler Perry of assaulting an actor on one of the filmmaker's shows. Actor Derek Dixon has sued Perry for $260 million.
For now, we're left with more questions than answers. What exactly prompted Ribeiro to speak out after all these years? How deep does Perry's influence truly run in Hollywood? And what will the fallout be for those brave enough to challenge him? As the lawsuit continues to unfold, one thing is clear: this is a story that's far from over. For so many fans, Tyler Perry isn't just a filmmaker, he's a symbol of resilience, a shining beacon of what it means to rise above adversity and succeed against all odds. His meteoric rise from homelessness to billionaire status has inspired millions, especially in the Black community, where his stories of faith, redemption, and family have resonated deeply. But now that admiration is clashing with a harsh reality. The allegations against Perry aren't just a stain on his reputation. They're a gut-wrenching betrayal for those who saw him as a champion. How do you reconcile the man who built a 330-acre studio on a former Confederate Army base, creating opportunities for countless Black actors, with the man now accused of coercion, manipulation, and exploitation?
I ain't gonna lie, it sounds like they have a lie. It sounds like there's something going on there that we may not be privy to, or he may have seen something that he doesn't like, or with him working with him, it's just something that he doesn't want to get caught up with.
This is where the conversation becomes deeply painful. Perry's defenders argue that he's done more for Black representation in Hollywood than most, and they're not wrong. His work brought visibility to marginalized stories and provided jobs to a community that has long been shut out of the industry. But at what cost? If even a fraction of these allegations is true, then Perry's legacy must be re-examined. Is it possible that the very empire he built to uplift others was also used to control them? The lawsuit's claims of coercion and retaliation suggest a man who wielded his power not just to create, but to dominate. A tragic irony for someone who has long preached empowerment. And then there's Oprah Winfrey. For years, she's been one of Perry's closest allies, a vocal supporter of his work and a collaborator on several projects. But some are now questioning whether her influence has shielded Perry from scrutiny. If there's a good old boys network in Hollywood, who's to say it doesn't extend to the industry's most powerful women as well? Winfrey's silence on the lawsuit has been deafening, and whispers of her involvement in protecting Perry from backlash have begun to circulate. Could it be that her loyalty to Perry has blinded her to the harm he's allegedly caused? Or worse, that she's actively chosen to look the other way? The deeper we dig, the more unsettling the picture becomes. Perry's empire isn't just built on films and television shows, it's built on silence. Former collaborators and protégés, many of whom owe their careers to Perry, have remained conspicuously quiet throughout the years. Where are their voices now as these allegations come to light? It's hard to ignore the possibility that non-disclosure agreements, or NDAs, have played a role. Perry, after all, is not just a filmmaker, but a savvy businessman. Could he have used legal agreements or intimidation tactics to ensure that anyone who had a story to tell would think twice before telling it?
Yeah, no, it definitely felt personal to me as well. And I think it's good to note as well that they have actually worked together in some fashion, because he's directed, and by he, I mean Alfonso has directed. He has 12 directing credits on the former Tyler Perry sitcom Meet the Browns. So I know a lot of people was questioning, like, hey, you know, have they worked together before? Do they know each other? So I do think that's good to note. But when I saw the tweet, I definitely thought it was personal from just that man. It's like 2 words can make a lot of difference.
We've seen this pattern before in Hollywood. Powerful figures accused of misconduct, their influence used to silence victims and shield themselves from accountability. But Perry's case feels different. This isn't just about one man's alleged actions, it's about a system that has allowed those actions to go unchecked. The culture of silence that surrounds Perry is a reminder of how far we still have to go in dismantling the structures that protect the powerful at the expense of the vulnerable. How many more stories remain untold? How many more people, like Derek Dixon, have been quietly suffering, afraid to come forward? One of the most striking elements of Tyler Perry's public persona is his repeated emphasis on the concept of family. Both in his work and his personal branding, Perry has leaned heavily into the idea that loyalty and unity are paramount. His films and television shows often center on themes of family bonds, forgiveness, and sticking together through adversity. But behind the scenes, it appears this same rhetoric may have been weaponized in his professional world, creating a dynamic where loyalty is demanded, dissent is discouraged, and those who step out of line risk being ostracized or silenced. For many in Perry's orbit, this idealized version of family may have felt more like a double-edged sword than a comforting embrace. At first glance, this family dynamic can seem nurturing. Employees and collaborators reportedly feel welcomed into Perry's inner circle, where they are treated as though they belong to something larger than themselves. It's a powerful motivator. Being part of Perry's world is not just a job, but a chance to join a tightly knit community with shared goals and values. However, insiders have suggested that this sense of belonging often comes at a price. The expectation of loyalty appears to extend far beyond the professional realm, demanding personal allegiance to Perry himself. Those who question his decisions, challenge his authority, or fail to meet his expectations are often seen as betraying the family, creating a deeply uncomfortable power imbalance.
Of the timeline that it took for Derek Dixon to come forward with these allegations, if they're true.
Well, that's one of the arguments the defense always makes, right? Is, well, if you were assaulted or harassed, you know, why did you stay? Why didn't you report it right away? What I love as the plaintiff's lawyer is a contemporaneous report. So hopefully they have that. I understand he's been getting therapy since 2020.
This dynamic is even more insidious when you consider how it might discourage victims of misconduct from speaking out. In a professional environment framed as a family, reporting abuse or challenging authority is not just seen as a professional risk, it's a personal betrayal. Perry's ability to frame himself as a benevolent patriarch within this constructed family makes it that much harder for individuals to come forward. After all, how do you turn against someone who has publicly positioned themselves as your protector, mentor, and supporter? The psychological toll of such a structure cannot be overstated. It fosters a culture where silence feels safer than truth, where loyalty becomes a shield for unchecked power. The alleged manipulative use of this family rhetoric becomes even more chilling when paired with Perry's significant control over his productions. By owning his studio outright and often writing, directing, and producing his own projects, Perry has amassed an unparalleled level of autonomy in Hollywood. This control allows him to determine not only who gets hired, but who stays in his circle of trust. Employees who have worked with him describe an environment where speaking out can result in immediate consequences: lost opportunities, severed professional ties, or even blacklisting. In this context, the idea of family becomes less about mutual support and more about maintaining a hierarchy where Perry's authority is absolute. This calculated use of the family narrative may also explain the eerie absence of public dissent from Perry's former collaborators. Where are the voices of those who have parted ways with him? Why haven't we heard more stories from those who have worked in his empire? The answer may lie in the psychological and professional leverage Perry wields over those in his circle. For many, leaving the family doesn't just mean losing a job, it means losing an entire network of connections and support. This is the ultimate betrayal of the family ideal Perry so often champions. A structure that should foster trust and safety instead becomes a mechanism for control, leaving individuals isolated and powerless to speak out.
As soon as the tweet was posted online, fans were shocked and confused at Ribeiro's refusal of Tyler Perry's role, making folks wonder if there's any animosity between the two.
And this brings us back to Alfonso Ribeiro. His decision to speak out, even in such a limited way, feels like the first crack in a dam that's been holding back years of pent-up truths. But Ribeiro is just one man, and the forces at play here are immense. Perry's influence extends far beyond Hollywood. His relationships with major networks, his philanthropic work, and his reputation as a self-made mogul make him a formidable figure to challenge. Ribeiro's words may have sparked a conversation, but dismantling Perry's empire of influence will take more than a few tweets. It will take courage, persistence, and a willingness to face the backlash that will inevitably come. And let's not kid ourselves, Perry won't go down without a fight. He's already dismissed the allegations as baseless, and his legal team is working overtime to discredit the lawsuit. But the court of public opinion is a different beast. As more details emerge, Perry's carefully curated image as a man of faith and integrity is beginning to crack. The question now is not just whether Perry will be held accountable, but whether the industry that enabled him will finally be forced to change. The truth is, we're witnessing the beginning of a battle that could redefine how Hollywood deals with its most powerful figures. Perry's story is a reminder that even the most seemingly untouchable icons are not immune to accountability, but it's also a reminder of how much work remains to be done. The allegations against him are a wake-up call, not just for his fans, but for the entire entertainment industry. If someone like Tyler Perry can allegedly exploit his power without consequence, what does that say about the system as a whole? As we wait for the next chapter in this unfolding drama, we're left with more questions than answers. Will more voices come forward? Will Perry's defenders continue to stand by him? Or will they begin to question the man they once idolized? And most importantly, will this lawsuit be the catalyst for real change, or just another scandal that fades into the background? One thing is certain, the truth is finally emerging, and it's more shocking than we ever could have imagined. But are we ready for what it reveals? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Stay tuned, stay curious, and until next time, take care.